After tottering on the edge for months on end, India and the US have finally sealed a historic trade deal, which President Trump said will be effective immediately. There is relief and acceleration, both here in the US as well as back home in India. But how did India manage to snatch victory from the jaws of defeat? Both nations have had to make concessions. That's normally how a trade deal works. But for India, it is very much an achievement in not just ensuring trade status quo, but the larger future prosperity. India's original Liberation Day tariff of 26% had ballooned to 50% after Trump got incensed with India's continuing buying of Russian oil, which he said what was fueling Russia's war machine in Ukraine. And there was danger of more to come, with a bill, if passed by American lawmakers, would have raised tariffs to 500%. But all is well for now, with Trump and Modi back to being greatest friends, with a tariff of 18%, which leaves Indian exports at a very competitive wicket compared to its rivals like Bangladesh and Vietnam. But how did India pull it off? First, it proved itself to be a tenacious negotiator, not bowing down to the initial set of demands. It ranged from opening up the entire market, including agriculture and dairy. Now, while Trump did mention agricultural amongst markets being opened up today, we'll have to check the fine print of the deal to see how much it involves. And it presumably excludes dairy, which is a political hot potato in India. Second, and perhaps most impactful, was India's trade deal flurry. While last week's mega deal with the European Union grabbed headlines and possibly softened American adamancy, it wasn't the only one. From an FTA with the UK in July to one with the European trade bloc, which came into effect in October, as well as ones with Oman and New Zealand. India's sudden FTA signing spree did not go unnoticed in Washington, especially considering how reticent India has been in sewing up trade deals. It also helped that Indian exports did not crash and burn under the weight of 50% tariffs since August, as two crucial sectors, electronics and pharmaceuticals, were excluded. Even trigger-happy Trump would have hesitated to cut off the flow of affordable medicines to its electorate. Half of America's generic drugs come from India. India also, meanwhile, diversified, with trade with China picking up substantially. In fact, last year, China overtook US as India's biggest goods trading partner. India also had the strength of its domestic economy with structural reforms like GST cuts and a fillip to Atmanirbhar manufacturing, helping it stride along. And even during the negotiations, India seemed to have worn out the US by sticking to certain no-go areas. However, finally, sense seems to have prevailed. The US needs India, the world's biggest market by numbers, and India needs the US, the world's most valuable market, especially considering India's hopes of future investment as well as becoming the manufacturing backyard of the world. The fine print and future growth will determine whether this sacrifice has been good enough.